Greetings from WanderingWakes, and we're here today to talk about water and plumbing systems. So this is a fairly significant system on a van depending on your build, and we thought we'd walk you through what ours looked like. This may not work for you, it certainly won't work for everyone, but we do feel like the system that we ended up with works very well for us and our intended use. We prefer to have a shower and toilet options in the van. We do a fair amount of cooking, and so we did want a significant, if you want to call it that, water supply. So we're at the back of the van here under the bed. We've got the raised bed with the garage set up, and so we've got a couple of tanks back here. The reason we put them inside is because we wanted to avoid freezing temperatures. We wanted to be able to really travel and camp in any weather. And although we're not looking for freezing temperatures, we did want tanks up and out of the way. It's also a lot easier to get a larger tank inside the van. Certainly on the Promaster, and possibly worse on a rear-wheel drive van, you don't have a lot of room underneath, and it's more prone to road debris and dragging bottom and cracking something. So anyway, on the passenger side, we've got a 46-gallon, technically, freshwater tank. And I've marked doing some measurements and some increments so we have some idea how full it is from the back side. So this is our fresh tank. It's secured with some metal straps. It's kind of bolted in, if you will, with some wood supports and things. We do not want this to move in case of an accident. So 46-gallon fresh water, which as it's turning out is giving us 4 to 5 days easily of use, pretty much doing everything in the van, including showers at least every other day. All right, so how do we fill this guy? Over here on this side, we've got our fill inlet, and so this is a standard RV fill inlet. You'll see them on the outside of most RVs, but I wanted it tucked in just where nobody could mess with it, and just one less hole to cut in the side of my metal van. So from right here, we can fill through this hose into the freshwater tank, and again on the back, we've got the freshwater fill hose hanging on our door. Easily accessible, and so since we only have to fill this about every 4 or 5 days, having to pop the door open and fill it is not a big deal, and I like the way everything is sort of secure inside the van. So that's the freshwater side. I'll give you a little more info in a minute on what we can see up under this way. Over on the driver's side, we've got what looks to be a similar tank. This is, however, just a 33-gallon tank. And this is used for our gray water. So, not toilet water, that's black. Shower water and sink water will go in this gray water tank. So it does not need to be as big as the fresh water because only part of our water is going to go in here. And that ratio has actually worked pretty well for us. They tend to, our gray and black tend to fill at the same kind of percentage rate as the fresh is falling. And so again, secured with some metal straps, bolted through the floor, and that's our gray water, waste water. And then in the middle here is kind of hard to see, but this is the back side of a marine-style water heater. And since we're here, we'll just talk about it. But heats from the engine coolant. And this has also worked very well for us. A complete separate video, actually, if you'll look on our channel for the water heater install. So that's really kind of what you can see from the back side. Let's talk about a few other things, and then we'll go inside and talk about some of our water-related setup in there. Okay, so it's not possible to see me and what we're wanting to talk about, so I'll just stand behind the camera this time. From the fresh tank, right here is our water pump. And we pull water out of the bottom of the fresh tank, and that pump will supply it to the hot water side through the hot water tank, water heater, to the sink and the shower. And it also supplies water to the rest of the cold side. All right, so that's the water pump. Next thing over, you can't see because of our storage platform that's mounted. This is the accumulator. That helps even out the pressure and just keeps your pump from cycling on and off quite so often. Now what you can't really see, except maybe you can see just a bit of a PEX pipe making a turn here. After the accumulator, we go through a whole house style water filter, and that we use a carbon cartridge to pull out odor and any sediment and try to clean our water up pretty good before it gets to us. You sometimes never know what you're going to fill up with out on the road. And so that's about all we can see here. We did use blue and red PEX for all of our cold and hot, and PEX has worked very well for us here in the van. Now, since we're here, we'll talk about a little bit the waste side. The PVC you see right here is coming from the galley sink, and it's headed over towards our gray tank. And that was one issue. If you're putting water, if you're putting appliances on both sides of the van, you're going to need a way to get water supply lines and possibly drain lines back to whichever side they originated from. Just something to consider. For us with the raised bed, we had plenty of room to move things back and forth that way. Okay, now we're over looking again under the garage on the driver's side, left side, under our raised bed. And there's really not much to see here except for these two lines. Those go to the shower faucet. And so you can see the faucet is just below the level of the bed. And that just keeps everything for our plumbing under the bed out of the way. And you can see the two shut-off valves. I've used ball valves at all of my faucet connections so that if there's any leak or issue, I can shut off the problem and still allow the rest of the system to function normally. So that's about all we can see from under the garage. Let's go inside and talk a little more about our water system here in the van. All right, so inside here you can see our galley. We've chosen to do a full-style residential faucet, hot and cold. So this is just a Delta pull-out faucet mounted with a single hole through our butcher block countertop, and that's kind of nice. It just keeps the number of holes we have to drill down. And then we've got an undermount stainless steel single bowl sink. And so a good setup, at least for us, for the galley side, food prep, washing dishes, all that sort of thing. And then again, this drain runs behind our cabinet, makes a turn under the garage, under the bed, and then over to the driver's side where the gray tank is. So all of our water from here goes to the gray waste tank. And then, like I said, we do have hot and cold at our galley kitchen sink. And now over on the driver's side, so just opposite our kitchen galley cabinet counter is our wet bath. We've opted for a wet bath. There's a complete other video describing our wet bath and blog post at WanderingWakes.net about just the wet bath. But we wanted the ability to shower in the van. We wanted the ability to use the toilet in the van and not have to search out other options when we were somewhere parked. So this is what we decided works best for us. Quickly, underneath the shower pan is a black tank. And so we've got a black tank, again, inside the van where it won't freeze. And then we just pull this small rug out of the way, and shower's no problem. So there's our drain, and that goes into the gray waste tank. Our shower faucet, again, is here. A little hard to see maybe, but that's under the level of the bed. And so having our lines come through down this low keeps us from having to do a false wall and run plumbing up through in between something and waste more space. And then we've just got a pull-out shower wand that we use for the shower. The toilet becomes a seat. And again, our toilet right here, that also is going to need a cold supply line. The shower faucet, hot and cold, from the marine style water heater. And we can get a couple of showers, even 18 to 24 hours after we last drove the van, a couple of warm, hot showers out of that water heater. So that's really the bulk of our water system. It's not too complicated, but it does allow us to do a lot of different things and works pretty well for us. So a couple of things I might mention. There's a blog post at WanderingWakes.net with a lot of detail about the water system, a lot more photos, even some things during construction of our build that you might check out. Below this video, give us a thumbs up if you like it. We appreciate that. There's a subscribe button, and then there's also a list of a lot of the options that we bought to build out our water system. That's over at the blog post as well. So I know not everybody's water system is the same. This might not be what works best for you, but it does work pretty well for us. And so I thought I'd just kind of give you a rundown. So from Wandering Wakes, happy trails.